That I also am very much an advocate for the beauty industry. I serve on the executive board for the Professional Beauty Association, which has a free membership for anybody that wants to be a member. There's a free membership, and there's a ton of free resources to support what we're talking about today. So I will definitely include that with information to follow up for all of you.
Do you happen to know the website off the top of your head?
It is probeauty.org, O-R-G. There's a whole bunch of COVID-19 resources that are available to everybody without having to be a member. The other thing that I want to mention to all of you is there's still a $500 scholarship or whatever you want it, not scholarship, grant available to anybody in the beauty industry that has been affected by COVID, and everybody has been. You have to apply for it. It is a lottery because they get like 1,000 a day kind of stuff. But $500 is $500 more than you had before. So feel free. Thank you for putting that out there, Danielle. It's at the bottom of the screen now. And I also have been very involved in Colorado as an advocate for the beauty industry. I have served on the advisory council and still am a named member, but not serving officially at this point in time for the licensing office for the beauty industry. And I've testified every time our licenses or anything comes up for conversation because I've made it my point to know my industry. So I'm really, really glad to be here, and I hope I can offer resources that are of value to everybody here. And please know that if you need further from me, Marcia has my information, and I'm more than willing to, take it offline somewhere else too. Okay, thank you.
That's fabulous. Peggy, thank you so much. Little inside information, 1,000 years ago, when I was graduating from cosmetology school, Peggy was coming in as the lead instructor. So we somehow became friends in this other cosmetology world, and I missed her being my teacher by 3 weeks or something like that. So
yeah,
you've been a lifelong teacher for me, so thank you.
Thank you.
Felicia Lewis-Dare, ladies and gentlemen, from the Department of Public Health and Environment. The all critical, we need you, please help us. Felicia.
Hi, everybody. I work for the health department, and I'm currently helping businesses in the city and county of Denver have a better understanding of what is required of them with the state's public health order, the Safer at Home order. So that is something that I'm currently doing. I do have mostly background in the restaurant industry, but I have learned a lot of things, as I'm sure everyone has during these times. And I just want to let everyone know that the health department is always a resource. If you have questions, you can always call 311. It's pretty much an operating system for the city and county of Denver, and they can direct you to the correct department to get answers that you may have answered or questions. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you. We're so happy to have you here. I think it's super important that you're providing us with correct, succinct information for how to maneuver through these times. Vesper Gray, ladies and gentlemen. Vesper. Vesper Gray Skin, Lash, and Nail Studio, which is a phenomenal business model. She's also an educator, and I've known her for 30 years, so I've seen her grow in this industry in so many different ways, and super excited to have you here, Vesper. As a business owner, the way that you have handled your clients and your information is going to be so important with our clients that we're speaking to today. It's been remarkable. So take it away, my dear.
Hi everyone, my name is Vesper. I own Vesper Gray Skin, Lash, and Nails. I have been in business for about 4 years and was lucky enough to start out on my own in the very beginning, but about 1.5 years ago expanded and added nails, and from then and we just kind of grew and blossomed, and blessed to have an amazing staff. I'm also an educator. I've written and created my own curriculum for lash extensions that I teach, at least once a quarter, if not more than that. And I just love all things beauty and all things aesthetics. So thanks for having me today.
We're so excited. Well, I'm ready to jump on in. Are you guys ready?
Ready.
Let's do this. Okay, let's talk. So these questions have been provided by our Mi Casa cosmetology participants. And the goal is to just have a really open conversation where I'll ask the question and then we'll just sort of round. If any of our guests, participant guests, want to drop a question in the chat box, we'll get to that as well. But here we go. Felicia, right off the bat, are face masks required for all employees and clients?
Yes, face masks are required for employees and clients unless someone has a medical condition that would require them not to wear a face mask. And that's something that employees would need to disclose with their owners, and clients can disclose with the service provider before performing a service. This is different than the state's requirement. The city and county of Denver has a face covering order in effect until further notice. That's what makes us a little bit different than the state currently.
Can you explain a little bit about that, that Denver has a face mask order? Does that mean that everybody's required, even if I'm going, say, to Sally Beauty?
Yeah, so if you are visiting a business, so a commercial business, if you're going to the grocery store, if you're getting a personal service, or if you're waiting in line at the grocery store, waiting in line to get into a business, you are required to have a face mask on. You're not required to wear a face mask when you're in your home, or if you're maybe just driving to and from a place, but if you are entering any type of business, you are required to wear a face mask.
That's awesome. Appreciate that.
May I clarify, please?
Yeah, of course.
At the very beginning, in the beauty industry statewide, for any service, a mask is required for both the practitioner and the client, that it be on at all times that they're in the facility. It doesn't matter what county, you know, so there's some counties that have variances or don't have face masks for going to the grocery store. But in the beauty industry in Colorado, it is a requirement unless there's a medical waiver, period. No ands, ifs, or buts. And medical skincare, if it is skincare under a doctor's directives, my understanding is that cannot be done without the mask removing the client's face at this time either.
Yeah.
Only true medical procedures can be done on the patient. Now we're talking medical, not beauty, without a mask. But the practitioner still wears one anyway. Thank you. I've just had a lot of questions around that.
No, that's great. That's really good to know. So thank you.
You're welcome.
So I have to have a medical facelift is what you're telling me.
Not even that. That's an elective.
Yeah.
Let me well, not if the doctor says that I have to have it.
No
Okay,
doctor's going to tell you that.
No, because your insurance isn't going to pay for it anyway.
I don't think so. Oh, in a perfect world. All right, let's move on. Okay. So this is going to be really for sort of Vesper and Peggy, unless Felicia, you've got some awesome, well, you are going to have some information. What best practices for clients have you implemented? Do you have text entrance, secured entrance, testing, providing face masks, providing individual hand sanitizers, controlled pathways? Whoever wants that one.
Am I going first?
Please.
Go for it.
Okay, so I sent out an email before we opened, and it just listed all of my protocols. And the main reason for that is, you know, I know that we're clean and I know that we're safe, but I really wanted to make it to where my my clients felt safe coming back in, because ultimately it's all about them. So there is a bunch of literature on the front of my office basically saying, you know, you need no waiting inside the office. If you're early, you need to wait outside. We are taking temperatures, even though we know that that's kind of a false sense of security, because some people can be asymptomatic, but we do have that. We do ask people to wear their own masks, but if they don't have them, we have them provided. As soon as they walk in the door, they're instructed to head and wash their hands immediately. Then after that, they sign a COVID waiver, and then after that, we can move on with their services. We are a boutique salon, so we're a little bit smaller, but we still have the ability to work in pairs 6 feet apart from each other, and we stick to that hardcore. So we don't have any extra people wandering around the office. It's only the people working and being treated, and ultimately that brings my clients a big sense of security. So, and I also have 3 huge sanitizing stations around the office. So everything you can possibly need. Yeah.
I have a question about this COVID waiver, and Felicia, maybe you can answer what's required with that. So we know, and Peggy, you as well. So I know that there's a series of questions that we can ask. With that COVID waiver, are we to hold on to that? Is that to be under lock and key? What's the best way to process those and to hold on to those?
Yeah, you definitely want to keep those on record, because you can kind of use those kind of like how you're tracking people who are going to be in the facility. So it can help with contact tracing, so that if for some reason someone does become positive, we can reach out to you as a business owner, or and you can provide information regarding your employees, but also your clients as well. So I don't think that there is a requirement of how long you have to keep them, but I think it's best to hold on to them definitely as long as you can. And I would treat it just like you treat other clients' information. Obviously, you don't want to be posting things on Facebook or of that nature, but being sensitive to maybe just keeping it in the office and filing it, and not letting everyone have access to it.
Yeah, with HIPAA, just to follow like standard HIPAA laws. Peggy, you and I had a long conversation the other day about what you're doing. It's just really great. So I would love for you to share how you're managing sort of like that contact tracing sort of idea.
Gotcha. Thank you. Basically, I have the advantage of being in a building that has an elevator that locks, and I have to admit people into the building. So once they get to my floor, which is the top floor, I sanitize everything on the in-between, okay? I'm not going to count on anybody else in my building taking care of anything, because I have to make sure my space is clean, right? And I'm a bit OCD. That's one good thing about being a school owner. It actually is a benefit, right? So my students have appointments to come to class, and the same thing with my clients, because I serve a clientele as well, a small one. They text me when they arrive here. I go downstairs and I let them in. So I have on gloves. I bring them up, or with my students, they come up and they stay at the front area, and I do an intake. I of course take their temperature, and they sanitize their hands at my intake station. I then record on my phone text message. I basically am texting myself a record of their intake. So I ask them the whole litany of questions that we have in the last 14 days. Have you had a fever? Have you been exposed to anybody? Have you been, all of those various intake questions that I know that you'll find a little bit later. They then sanitize their hands. Oh, they do accept liability verbally. I do not have paperwork. And I'm going to say a little bit more about that in 1 second. I'm just kind of looking at the questions here. I have hand sanitizers and spray all over creation, okay, everywhere. And I know you do, Vesper, too. It's like every time you turn around, you're sanitizing your hands. My hands are so darn dry, it's not even funny. Right? But I'm requiring people sanitize their hands and not have the false security of gloves. I've seen a lot of people out in public wearing gloves, and they don't
They're just spreading germs
everywhere. Yeah, it's not effective. So in the beauty industry, because we have to be aware of everything we're doing, and honestly, 80 to 85% of the sanitation guidelines we are now following, we've had them in place since before we got licensed. We've been doing this.
Yeah, right.
People are safer going to a salon than they are to a grocery store, in my opinion, because we're always cleaning.
Always. Barbicide, yeah, constantly cleaning. I agree.
So, and then Vagaro is the booking site that I use. They have online forms. So people can get on and fill out that intake, and it goes right into their file. So there's no paperwork. It's all saved digitally. There's a lot of different ways of doing that.
Yeah, so the digital part of everything I'm doing because of the HIPAA laws, because I no longer have students to protect. I all have clients of the students and my own clients. So when it comes to best practices, I was joking with Vesper and Marcia before we went live today. I've spent my every single morning since March 17th online. The first thing I do with my coffee is I meet the governor. What are we doing today, right? I want to apologize to his husband or something. And I look at the mayor's office, because Denver City and County have had slightly different variances than the state of Colorado. My business is in Denver, but I have students that are in other counties as well because they're apprentices. So, and because I've been in the industry long enough, people seem to think I have the answers. So I've been making it my point to have the answers when I can. So I've been getting up every morning looking to see, has anything changed? Has there been an interpretation? Where's the numbers? All of that good stuff. So I'm going to go back up to the waiver. There's been more rhetoric about the waiver for COVID than anything else, because let's face it, the beauty industry could not operate if we could not have liability insurance. Our insurance carriers are really who tells us what we can do. I've always taught that if you are working outside your scope of practice, like in Vesper's business, Vesper is an esthetician. You have people there doing nails. I know you don't do nails, but your people do. So if you were to step in and take care of somebody else doing nails that's outside your scope of practice and something happened, you have no commercial liability to cover you. You now can lose everything you've worked for very hard personally.
Yeah.
So when it comes to waivers, make sure your insurance company knows what you're using. They might have one for you. Reach out to them. They're willing to take your money, number one. The other thing is that COVID resources I just mentioned earlier through Professional Beauty Association, we do have a waiver as a suggested. Something's better than nothing. And when you're asking clients questions, they're going to answer because they want to have things done.
Yeah. Right.
For at least temperature something, so you're doing your due diligence as a business owner to make sure you're doing everything you can to mitigate any exposure. So, saying that controlled pathways, I have so few people in my space that we generally tend to work in one direction anyway. Definitely 6 social distancing. Definitely masks on at all times. I tell my students they must use them in the bathroom. I even tell my clients, I said, we clean everything anyway, but please understand there are people that enter this space that may be highly compromised, and I already worry about them, and I'm going to worry about them more if I think you're being lackadaisical. And there's some people I ask not to come back until July, because I don't believe they're practicing safe work, meaning they're working without a mask on. I don't want them in my space, and I have every prerogative not to, because I've got to watch out for at least the family members and people that they interact with of at least 58 people times 10 times 10 times 10.
Right. It's that, be careful what you post on social media, because we're watching. And yeah, exactly. I have 2 follow-up questions. Felicia, does denvergov.org have a waiver form that we can download and use if we say our insurance company doesn't have one or what have you?
I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head, but I think that the state's website has one. And because we've been, trying to be in line with the state for the majority of these orders, we have been directing a lot of people towards the state's website. But I can look into that and get you a link.
That'd be awesome.
Email out to everyone.
I have insurance through ASCP, and they provide you one. Vagaro, my booking site, also provides you one. So, and then I also got a third one from the Plastic Surgery Association of Colorado. And then, so there's a lot of options out there, but I would recommend anyone go to your insurance, your personal liability insurance, and I guarantee you they have one.
That's awesome. And then my other question is regarding foyer and reception. So I unfortunately had to leave my house for the first really time since March and go to the dentist, which you know how much I love that because he's so cute. And they had done away with reception. So you had to text to get in. There was no receptionist, no chairs, any of that stuff. And is that how you're sort of managing your reception area?
People wait outside. Yep. So
Yeah.
it's instructed, do not come early. And then they wait outside. If we don't see them right away, they're instructed to knock on the door. We come to them and we let them in, you know, if it's their time and all of that stuff. If not, then we help them book an appointment for later on that day or whatnot. But anyone who doesn't have an appointment does not come into the office until their designated time. And yeah, they wait outside. It's beautiful out and we've got benches and all that, so they can all sit 6 feet apart and wait if necessary.
So are you, just blank, I'm just asking questions. Are you concerned that some of your guests and clients won't feel very welcome? Or do you think that everybody's understanding that this is what we have to do right now?
Everyone's understanding, and they know that it's for their best. You know, they know that it's for their well-being. So I haven't had any issues. No one's upset. Again, I also outlined all of this in an email. It's also posted in 2 different places on the front of my office. So people know prior to coming in that that's what the expectation is. I haven't had any problems whatsoever.
That's great.
So yeah.
Are we
I
ready
want
to
to add
move
one
on?
more thing. I want to
yes,
add one
ma'am.
more thing about face masks just before I forget. Do we provide face masks? I give my students all like 3 cloth masks when they come to school, right? So they at least have some resources. But
I'm making some if anybody needs any.
I've made it a practice to let anybody know that's receiving a service, especially a hair service, wear in a disposable or a mask that you can take off, because hair is going to get in it and color is going to get on it. No matter what I do, I don't like to send clients home with hair particles anywhere on them, but now that it's even more, I would like for them to have a mask to change at some point in time if possible, so they're not taking home their hair particles.
That's smart.
So I have them go outside and put on their mask, and then I throw away the, if they have a disposable mask, I put it in my biohazard. My biohazard people are happy because I had to get a bigger container.
Right? They love it. All right, let's move along. Hey, Felicia. Are you going to be personally inspecting all spas and salons?
Right now in the city and county of Denver, we are doing compliance checks on all businesses. We also are responding to any complaints that we're receiving about businesses. So if we receive a complaint about your business, we'll come and address the complaint, as well as provide you guidance and additional resources to help you understand what is required of you. But also we are just popping into businesses here and there on our downtime to make sure, do you understand everything that's required? Where can we help you? Have you read the public health orders? So you can't, it shouldn't be a surprise if you see someone come into your facility.
So I know that there's a lot of people out there doing skincare in Denver that even though we're not allowed to. What have you been finding that much? I mean, I know of at least 5 people doing it just off the top of my head. Are you finding that you're going in and finding people not being compliant, or?
I haven't found any of that yet, but the city and county is big, and we do have do have a large portion of our team responding to other things like outbreaks, but we are requesting the general public to inform us of things of that nature, so that if you do see a business of any type operating outside of these public health orders, to call 311 and file a formal complaint so that we can be aware of it, because we truly can't be everywhere at once. So
right, of course. So for those people that do file a complaint, can they do it anonymously, or do they have to?
Yeah, you can do it anonymously. You can also provide your information so that we can reach out and get more details, but we keep everything anonymous for anyone who calls.
I have one more question. Have you found that you've had any outbreaks in any locations yet?
Not in.
Can you share that?
No, I mean, it is public information, and the state does list on their website all facilities that have an outbreak. They don't list address, like, so if a King Soopers has an outbreak, they just list King Soopers. But they do list businesses that have classified as an outbreak. And an outbreak is 2 individuals from separate households that have tested positive in a 14-week period. So
I didn't know.
yeah,
14-week period?
Oh, 14-day period. Thank you.
I was like, wow, I'm never leaving my house.
I'm never leaving again.
And Felicia, I have a couple questions regarding that as well. Many people in the beauty industry are unaware that the health department actually supersedes or is over the top of the licensing office for barber and cosmetology licensing.
Sure.
And DORA is in between there, okay,
Right.
so to speak. So when it comes to complaints, I've had a lot of people reach to me and want to complain to me, like this person is not masking, or to Vesper's comment that there are people working on clients that should not have the services done in that area of the face. How do they complain and what happens? Because you can complain to the licensing office and they will, you can anonymously as well, but it gives you a place so they can follow up if they have to ask questions. Let's say that I register a complaint with the licensing office but not the health department. Do the two of you work together? Or is that something that's like county to county?
Great
And I'm
question.
asking a lot.
Yeah, we try to work together so that, like if I receive a complaint about sanitation practices that, salons are supposed to follow without COVID being a thing, that's, something that I am not currently regulating. So it needs to be, passed on to the person who is regulating it, and vice versa, that if excise and license or someone else receives a complaint that they know is related to the public health order or the face covering order, that needs to be communicated to us, because we do currently have a task force that is the public health order task force in response to COVID-19, who is responding to every complaint that comes in.
Oh my gosh.
So I recommend, that saying before, to call 311 to file a complaint in regards to the public health order. And that comes directly to me. And then I file it out to my system to respond, because that's something that we have been doing since day one, even before when it was just a stay-at-home order.
And curious, if by chance, and there's a girl named Jessica that would need to mute the microphone because we can see something. If the person is not in the city and county of Denver, Felicia, and can they still dial 911? Let's say they're in Adams County.
I don't know what number you would have to call to reach Adams County. 311 is the operating system for the city and county of Denver. You would have to reach out to the local health department within that.
And that would be Tri-County.
Tri-County.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or they can go to the licensing office for barber cosmetology, and then it'll go up to the health department to that area, would be my assumption.
Yeah. How about we all just do the right thing and then we don't have to get the health department?
Well, is Tri-County, are they able to do skincare without masks, or is the whole state of Colorado still?
Nobody.
Yeah,
Okay.
the whole state, yep.
Okay.
Okay, good to know. You guys are amazing. Okay, Felicia, again, are there contact tracing requirements?
I think that this is something that a majority of your industry kind of already does, and it's called appointments. You do want to have a list of everyone that you're going to be coming in contact with, and you usually schedule appointments, and you have your appointment books that you can reference back to. But when it comes to that, you just want to have, who was at your facility, how long they were at your facility, and the date that they were at your facility. And it's good to have a contact phone number or email or both for those individuals, so that if for some reason there are any positive cases, then you can reach out to individuals and let them know that there might have been a possible connection and that they would need to like self-isolate. But yeah, you guys kind of already got this down when it comes to appointments. So just keep doing what you're doing. Just know that you might have to reference back to it, maybe a little bit more than you have done in the past.
I love that. We're already doing it.
I've had a couple people ask about that. This is the reason that we cannot double book clients right now, because they want us to start and complete full service. So clients are not being exposed to other clients' possible contagion, because most stylists work more than one client at a time. Put your color on, do somebody else. That's not allowed right now.
Okay. So one client, pardon me, one client at a time.
Correct. So if they come in for multiple services, they would go from me to somebody else, but I have to complete the service, and that next person then does the sanitation intake and moves forward. Like they get their hair done and then their nails. Those are two now completely separate interactions with the client.
That is good to know. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we ready? Oh, hi, Felicia. What do I do if an employee or client tests positive for COVID-19? Do I have to report it to the health department?
If an employee or a client tests positive for COVID-19, you do need to report it to the health department, and you need to reach out to us so that then from there we can provide you guidance based on the information you provide us on what is required and what are the next steps that you need to take. Doesn't necessarily mean that you have to shut down. It might just be that, you know, maybe that person never was in the building when they were when they had symptoms, and you just want to start monitoring other staff members. I think that you just reach out to your health department. So here in Denver, you can call 311 and get a call back from the health department, and we have a special team who's responding to this and providing guidance, very detailed guidance on what are the next steps that your business will need to take if something like this does happen.
Peggy, have you put in parameters in the event, God forbid, a student or an employer client, what that's going to look like for you?
Yes, very much so. Simply because I have so many different moving parts. I have not, thank goodness, had anybody enter my facility that then was tested after the fact. However, I've had a lot of questions. What happens if they walk in the door, they spend a couple hours with me, and then the next morning they wake up and they're not feeling well? I've got my contact tracing under control. Or let's say the client shows up, they walk in your facility, oop, I forgot to take their temperature intake, I was crazy. I sat them down and draped them, and oh, now I'm going to do my intake, and they have a temperature of 100.5, so to speak, which would not allow them to stay. What do? I have to ask them to leave, but there's two conflicting camps. The CDC says you close everything down, let everything sit for a while, and then clean after the droplets have a chance to settle in. So you don't start stirring things up right away because it actually creates more contagion. That's my understanding. So Felicia, I would love some of your direction on this, please.
Yeah, definitely. So that's kind of why Denver has a face covering order in place, because that really does help eliminate a lot of things. And odds are you're already disinfecting and cleaning, and you are already increased the sanitation practices that you have to a whole nother level. So the odds are that, you know, if something like this did happen, you're kind of probably already on top of it, and you would want to disinfect maybe everything that they came in contact with, but because they're wearing a face mask, it's not going to be as much of a concern as maybe another county who doesn't require face masks, because that droplets are more likely to be on surfaces within your facility rather than on the inside of their face mask.
So what are your thoughts on someone that has tested positive for COVID and then they have the antibodies? I don't really understand with that. Are they still able to pass on COVID at any given time, or are they done? Like,
I haven't gotten too deep into that because I've been focusing on mostly the public health orders. So I don't know the answer to that, but that's something that I can get an answer to because I do have a team within the health department who is responding to kind of all of that scientific stuff that's around that.
awesome.
But I am in a little bit of a tunnel vision right now. We've all been assigned certain tasks that we need to focus on, but that's something I can get an answer.
Thank you. Yeah, anytime you have it is fine. I know you've got a lot on your plate.
All right. Okay, again, Felicia. So we already know how strict we are with our own sanitation, but are there any new COVID-19 requirements?
So the only requirements are that you need to start disinfecting high touch surfaces. So if you do have, door handles coming in and out of your building, obviously a seat or any equipment that a person may be sitting on. I think you guys already have really high standards. This is kind of like how when I talk to the restaurant industry, you guys already know how to clean and disinfect things. Just be aware of those, more of those touch points like door handles and maybe like pins or things of that nature. So if you're allowing customers to pay with a credit card, disinfecting the payment system. So just being aware of what people touch and that those items need to be disinfected often, including items that you and your staff are touching. Otherwise,
I actually have a towel that I soak in bleach every morning and fold up, and it's sitting right in front of the iPad. So when we take their card, we wipe it and then we use it and then we wipe it off and give it back to them. I mean, we're stickler.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yep. Usually industries that already have sanitation requirements understand what they need to do in this situation. It's those other industries that aren't required to have such high sanitation requirements.
Do you hear that, Mayor Hancock? Lift the skincare restriction.
Just in order for us to do the work, and they can leave with a mask on, please. That's what we want. Beard
Okay.
and face.
Oh, great question. What do I need to do to open a mobile salon? Would I be able to do microblading, eyelash extensions, permanent makeup, or waxing from a mobile unit?
You have to have mobile insurance.
And the state's definition of mobile is it is a vehicle that has wheels. It's not just somebody that's going from here to there. So it's a setup in like a van or whatever.
Like a food truck for beauty.
Right.
Correct. Now, the other question regarding this is practitioners that are licensed and work in a salon that is registered with the state, that's your shop license, are able to go to a client's home to provide a service or the client's business.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It is legal 100%, but you have to be licensed and you have to be registered in a salon setting otherwise. Now, here's what you need to know. With all of the sanitation that we do in our business place, we have control. You have absolutely no control about your client's living or workspace. So right now, there are a lot of people putting together mobile salons because they know they can have a sanitation checkpoint at the door when you walk into their Winnebago, whatever. So it at least is giving a lot more certainty to the practitioner to not have to worry about contagion either. Love people. I love how they keep their house, but some people don't understand the depth of cleaning and disinfection. Sanitation is just an overterm. Disinfection is using a cleaning agent that's chemical that will kill anything that is possibly, transmitted from person to person with the proper contact time with the disinfectant. But you can't disinfect a dirty tool. So you have to clean it first.
Right.
You can't spray something with alcohol and call it clean unless it's been cleaned and disinfected both.
I had a student, she was licensed, she had just finished my lash extension program, went to do someone's lashes at their house. They're like laying on their couch is full of dog hair, you know what I mean? That's no bueno. So if people are gonna have a mobile salon, I think that's much better than going in and doing services at someone's house, unless of course they're elderly, disabled, they can't get out. There's obviously always other circumstances, but yeah, I like the idea of having your own mobile station that's clean and sanitized.
I love that. Felicia, what kind of licensing and requirements? Is it the same as if I was in a salon setting for a mobile salon? And by the way, if anybody out there has a mobile salon, will you please let me know? I haven't left my house and I'm in trouble.
Well, I can come take care of you.
I wish I knew the answer to that, but that's more of an excise and license question.
Okay.
So maybe we can reach out to someone at that agency to get that exact answer.
Any of you that follow Colorado Bestheticians, there is a thread on that today, as a matter of fact, regarding a mobile salon. The gal actually shares how much she's spending. It does have to be licensed as a vehicle, and the insurance is slightly different because it's a commercial vehicle. So you do have to get a commercial driver's license to have a mobile salon.
Really? Okay.
Interesting, isn't it?
Because you don't for a food truck.
Interesting. I did not know that about a food truck.
I believe that my understanding is too that you have to have a special insurance to be able to do mobile services. That was my understanding.
And it is county to county as well. You have to check in with each county or municipality. It's not just a state thing. So it gets kind of complicated. It's not like you can just open the back on your hatchback and do services. It's not that simple at all.
Yeah, and let's not do that. Just a little timeout really quickly. For those that need translation services, if you go to the bottom of your screen, there's going to be what looks like a world or a globe, and you can choose English or Spanish on there for translation services. Okay, we're ready? All right, here we go. What tips and... Hi.
Who?
Can't hear over here, Marcia.
Okay, we'll talk slower.
Okay.
What tips and tricks for marketing do you have? How have you communicated with your clients during this time? Did you use social media? If so, what outlets worked best? Vesper?
So just knowing that we weren't going to be able to do skincare, I always do monthly specials. And so knowing that everyone's been financially hit by this, I made sure that they were good specials that could be affordable for people to get back in the door. I also tailored them to lashes, brows, and nails, the services that we can provide right now. I focused a lot on lash extension just because that's reoccurring revenue. So putting on a set of lashes, they're coming back in every 2 to 3 weeks, which is huge. During the actual stay-at-home order, I did a contest and gave away 3 manicures and pedicures, and just stayed engaged with my clientele during the time that we were shut down. Facebook, Google My Business, Yelp, Instagram, my website, all of it. We used all of it, just to stay in touch with people, and it worked brilliantly. So
I will say this about Vesper. I think what was so impactful was every day you were communicating with your clients. Not your friend, but I'm a client and I watch your social media. But you every day were holding our hand and guiding us through, this is the information that we have. This is what we're doing. Not only for COVID, but also, hey, this is how you can take care of your lashes until you can get a refill.
Yeah.
So you can, you're stressed, your skin is going to be stressed. This is how you can care for your skin during these times. And I think creating that relationship was really soothing. And as a client, I felt valued. And it was really important to know that I could just, respond to a Instagram post or what have you if I had a question or a concern.
Absolutely. Always. I mean, all of those modalities have a chat feature. So I get notifications for everything. So as soon as I see a notification come through, I immediately respond. And it really was. And those were great for my clients, but they were also great for me too, because keep in mind, we're all in this together. We're all suffering anxiety as business owners. So these are like things that I do for myself to calm myself down. And then, who wants straggler lashes, so I went ahead and did a Facebook Live on how to remove your lash extensions at home with castor oil. And that was very helpful. Also, by the way, castor oil is a natural lash serum. So if you want your lashes to grow longer, keep using it. So not on extensions though.
Good to know. And Felicia, I know that the health department has communicated every step of the way. So thank you. I think it's important to acknowledge that the health department isn't scary, that you are our friend and our partner. And I really do feel that hopefully the perception of the health department has changed through this, in that you really are here to support us and create some really great business relationships. So thank you.
Of course, that's what we're here for.
Okay. Oh boy.
I'll respond to the marketing. Marcia and I talked about this before real quick. Because I have a school, I have people that market for me. I don't market my school, my former students do. So I've been very, very fortunate. It's been strictly word of mouth because it's really a different concept. So in communication with my clients, I sent them all a text. And as, depending on who they were, we kept in contact, just, things, and we got it, the health order was extended, can't see you for a while. And then because my primary business is a school, I did not open up when the rest of the salon and spa industry did, because I could not justify my students coming back to work yet. They work in the industry, come back to school, they had to go back to work. So I wanted to give them a chance to integrate into society first. So my students I email, and then I send them a text message to let them know I sent them an email so they know what to look for. Because it's been my experience that the communication tends to be much more prompt with a text. Now, as far as marketing and social media, Facebook has been my primary. I do a little bit of Instagram, enough that, I can put an image there. Again, and I've done a couple Facebook Lives for the industry. The thing I noticed more than anything was when I went from our state closed down, I started getting a lot more media attention nationally. So I figured it was time to start sharing what was going on here, or trying to be a voice of reason across the board in the industry, because there were so many moving parts. So I did a couple of Facebook Lives, say we're going back. These are some of the things other states have known or that we're doing, because we were one of the first states to go back to work. And everybody is good and well that I've reached out to so far. Thank you, God.
Thank you. I think that's really important, that your students' health and wellness was first and foremost. So thank you.
They wanted to come back to school, but I'm like, I'm sorry. I'd love to have you here. This is like my income, right? However, I know that being a school owner, one of the best things I can do is instill trust in the first moment. And right now, it used to be sanitation was not the sexy side of what we do. It was all about the fashion stuff. So there's kind of a little bit of a cheap thrill I'm getting out of how much sanitation is part of what should and always has been my focus. Now it's like, yay, it's out in the, it's out in the real life. People are shining a light on it because it is important. It's always been important. It's just more important now.
That's great. Okay, let's move along. How do I enforce social distancing? What if a client employee refuses?
So with the enforcement of social distancing, enforcing sounds like such a strong word. What we really want to do is educate and remind. So, if you have a customer who walks up to the door, just reminding without a face mask on, or who wants to hug you because they haven't seen you in months and you guys are like family, just, remind them to take that step back and go, it's for the best of all of us. Let's try and keep our 6 feet. Don't forget to put your mask on. So just be friendly about it and just remind them. I think having signage posted on the exterior or the entrance of your business that kind of reminds them and lets them know that this is something that you're doing in your business and this is something that you're requiring everyone who's in your facility to do. When it comes to refusing service, you have the right to do that. And if someone or an employee refuses to wear a face mask, then, they don't need to come to work because it's the law right now. The public health order is the law, and they need to follow it. And you as a business owner, I'm sure you understand plenty of laws that you have to make sure all of your employees can do. But same thing with your clientele is that, you're following this order because it is a law and you want to protect not only yourself and your employees, but you want to protect them and the public as well. And just kind of using it as more of an educational, reminding them. And I think you guys have a much more clientele versus customer type of business. So you guys have dealt with your customers and their attitudes and kind of how to approach them about things. So I think that because you're such a close-knit community, it will really help with being able to discuss these things and not necessarily need to enforce or deny service to anyone.
So I'm on 19th Avenue and there's a sidewalk in front of my office. We use sidewalk chalk to draw hearts that are 6 feet apart. So that keeps people separate. I honestly haven't run into any issues. I also have a sign that we created on the front door that says, are you looking for a walk-in? Do a cute little dance so we know to come and help you, because we do take walk-ins. So, doing little fun things like that kind of takes off the, I don't know how to explain it, like kind of the dark, like enforcing type thing. It's like, oh, we're encouraging you. Yes, you're still welcome, but do it safely. And then as far as refusals, if they refuse, then bye, this is the way it is right now. Not only should you be worried and caring about yourself, but you should be worried and caring about all of those around you. So if you're not going to do that, then you don't need to come in for a service today. That's pretty much my thought around it.
I love that. Peg?
For me, pretty much the same. I just remind, here's the problem. We like to get together. We like to be close. So I'm finding that I'm spending more of my time reminding of the social distancing and not touching the mask around the mouth, because that tends to be, it is mask etiquette as well. And if a client or employee refuses, I already put it out there at the very beginning of my statements for everything. Here's the deal. I used to teach sex education at one point in time too. And that's what I use for my analogy. I'm going to make sure you're okay, and I don't have any control over where you have been or anyone else has been, but I can certainly mitigate anything here. So if you refuse, that's fine. Have a wonderful life. but you're not going to receive a service here, and I'm not going to interact with you because I've got too many other people to protect as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's great. Thanks, ladies.
Yay.
Our industry is very intimate. We do love to hug our clients. We know this. Other than strict sanitation policies, how can we ensure our clients are mentally safe? Other than signage, is there specific language we can use to calm their fears?
I mean, I'm very open. We're often like therapists, as you know. So I just ask them straight up, like, how are you doing with all of this? And if there's any concerns around their safety and well-being, first of all, they know that I have an open door policy. They can call or text me anytime. But I would be sure to get them the resources that they need for that mental health. I mean, I'll be 100% honest with you on this Facebook Live. When we first shut down, and I've always suffered from anxiety. I ended up going on Celexa and talking to my doctor on a very low dose, but I'm telling you, that little low dose and just talking to my doctor the way that I did, it changed everything for me for the duration of it. And I'm still on it, and I'm very happy. No side effects, no nothing, but it just calmed that anxiety. So I think that if you have any question whatsoever about your mental health, automatically just reach out to your healthcare providers, and then I encourage my people to do the same thing. There's no shame.
No shame.
So,
Peggy, you and I had the conversation earlier, and maybe yesterday or however many days, in that you're doing less educating on hair cutting right now and more of that personal coaching. I would love for you to share what that's looking like for you.
It's interesting because we're at 50% occupancy, so to speak. I've still been keeping to that 10, even though that changed for the salon industry as of last Thursday. I've been following not only the salon, but office. And the closest thing I can get to schools right now, because before we started talking, was daycares and camps, as far as how do you isolate. I started reaching out to people in our industry early and said, call your clients. There's a lot of people that expect us to take care of their mental health because we've always been there. So check in with them, see if they're okay. I'm finding that this, as of last week, every student I've had come in the door, including my instructors, anyone I've reached out and, been in any kind of interaction with, in physicality, okay, not this two-dimensional thing. It has been, how has it been for you? How are you? That's one of the very first questions, because it is grossly apparent to me that everybody has been in a weird place. There's none of us that have not been affected by this particular situation called pandemic. And I tend to have a really weird sense of humor. So I tend to do that. This is my first pandemic. I don't have the etiquette down. So if I do anything that upsets you, please understand it strictly is I'm doing my best right here, because it really is our first pandemic for anybody living. So I ask how they are. The one thing I do find out more than anything, I let them talk until they're done talking and just listen.
always.
Then I ask them, what's the one good thing about you and your life that you got out of this time that we've been quarantined? It seems as if almost everyone has done something for themselves. There's been a lot of self-care awareness. There's been a lot of growth that has happened with people, like getting rid of things, that kind of thing. So there's been a lot of personal growth and development that I'm seeing that has happened in areas where they've had the time. I know a lot of people that just filed for divorce. I know a lot of people that just got engaged. It's even stuff
Or having a baby.
Or having a baby, yep. Or now they're going to be having a baby about 7 or 8 months, right? So I think more than anything is we've trained to be listeners in the beauty industry, and we do such a great job of it that we need to ramp up our listening skills and just really let our clients know it's all okay. And sometimes, I don't think there's any specific language, because you can still show you care with your eyes. You don't have to show your face. But it's like, I like to tell some people, you know, there is a smile underneath this mask. You might not be able to see it. Of a certain age where sometimes the crow's feet don't make the smile look like anything. It just looks like crow's feet. All
Sorry,
of
I'm
those.
in a loud chair. Okay.
Okay.
And Alicia, do you know of any resources that would be available regarding as stylists and business owners, but also for our clients, space for mental health?
Yeah, so on denvergov.org, and then there's a link that you can click on that leads to COVID-19. There are a lot of resources on there, as well as, you know, different resources around mental health of just the public in general. I really recommend everyone looking on there because there are a lot of different resources, and honestly, phone numbers to call, links to click on, like the Colorado Crisis Hotline. And, you know, sometimes all it does take is being able to talk to someone. Another thing that I would say around the certain language that you can use with your clients to calm their fears is letting them know that you're educated about what you're required to do during these times, and that, you know, that, hey, mentioning this, you know, last week I did a panel Zoom call, and I had the health department on there, and I had some other experienced people on there, and I'm reading the orders, and I'm looking up all the different resources that are available to us, because that shows them that you're putting your best foot forward, and you really are doing the things that you can be doing to not only protect them, but continue to protect the public as a whole.
That's beautiful. I love that. Thank you. Ooh, Miss Peggy, we are so hands-on in our learning. How are we going to do this now? Will I be able to complete my education in cosmetology? And what if I need to complete, say, 24 hours to maintain my license?
Excellent question. Those are the ones I get the most of right now, as a matter of fact. The Colorado Department of Education, Department of Higher Education is who regulates me, and they are working diligently. There's been a lot going on there because they do understand the social aspects of school and being in a class. Having said that, a lot of not necessary interaction for education, like theory classes, lectures, even demonstrations, will be, it looks like, migrating almost completely online.
Mm-hmm.
But there's approvals and that kind of thing. So I'm not saying it's just going to happen overnight. There's a lot of schools, including my own. I didn't take advantage of that variance. When we went into can't touch people right now, and the department said you must go to some kind of distance learning, my default for snow days has always been distance learning on Zoom or conference calls before then. We just happened to do it for 2 weeks instead of for 2 or 3 days. My staff is not trained. We're in training with it, but we're not trained and set up for it. Neither are my students. You know, I did not pre-qualify just to have something besides a smartphone. Some of them couldn't pay the bill for their smartphone while we were in COVID, right? So, and I have a private school, so it's not like my students necessarily get the benefit of the taxpayers' support like Denver Public Schools to put laptops in every home. You know, so it's a little bit different. It will definitely change to more cohorts being together, meaning groups of people will be training together so you can still keep the contact tracing under control. Given the fact I'm dealing with adults, it tends to keep what I call the petri dish effect down a little bit more. If I was dealing with young people under the age of 16, there's a lot more wash your hands that needs to happen. So that definitely makes a difference. As far as hands-on instruction, some of it can be led online. And because a lot of my students are also apprentices working in salons, they're getting some of that practice there. but we have the opportunity to practice on mannequin heads, which are not biological, thank goodness.
Right.
The hours have not changed to maintain licensure. Everything has just pretty much been put on hold for 3 months. So anybody that was going to graduate now might be further down the road, for example, because the state of Colorado, for schools that are not in the VOTEC system, are still measured by clock hours as opposed to credit hours. Credit hours is like a 30-to-1 translation, 30 clock hours to a credit hour, but it depends on the level of instruction, the type of instruction, and all that kind of stuff. So that's just a general rule. Barbers and cosmetologists for the basic programs need 1,500 hours of instruction to qualify for the state board. That means they also need to meet all their school standards. There's a hairstylist license, that's 1,200 hours. And the aesthetics license and nail license are both 600 hours respectively. Some people, add on, like Vesper has, I would assume, additional certifications that you've gotten for lashes, maybe microderm peels, dermaplaning, that kind of thing, and permanent makeup. Those are all on top of the license, not inclusive of the license itself. So if somebody has that extra certification, they've gone above and beyond, so they actually know more going into the industry, which means they've had a lot more sanitation training as well.
Exactly.
We will always be hands-on training. You can't Zoom call a client's haircut. If you did, it would be quite an interesting conversation. And, it might make that oops channel that people watch. I think I've answered the questions regarding that.
Yeah, that's perfect. I appreciate that. I don't want to cut short our time, but we are at nearly 2:15. So let's see where we are. I think we answered that one already. There's resources for long-term psychological care, which is super important.
I want to make a comment about that. When people get back to work, they forget about the routines they've established when they were home because they had all the time in the world. So I'm encouraging everybody, and those of you that are on this panel as well, or listening, or who will listen to this later, take on those things that you did that made you feel good while you were in what my daughter called captivity.
Right.
And take on those things that made you feel good. It doesn't matter what it was. And I'm not talking about addictions. That's not a feel good. That's a Band-Aid on a broken arm. I'm talking about those, like I went for a walk every day. I didn't care what the weather was like. I got in a half an hour walk for mental health. Anything like that you can consistently do right now, I've found to be so extremely valuable for psychological well-being. It needs to be inserted for everybody and stay there. Don't go to work with such a frenzy to make up for lost time. Because a lot of people are doing that too. Oh my goodness, I didn't work for 3 months. So I'm going to book clients 6 days a week, 10 hours a day. Your well-being has got to be addressed because you're going to be sick otherwise. Maybe not from COVID, but maybe sheer exhaustion.
Well, and I'll speak to that just because prior to COVID, I was working 14-hour days every day except for Sunday. And then having that break, when I came back, I was like, I'm doing my ideal calendar. And since then, I've stuck to it. Like today, instead of coming in at, getting up at 5:15, getting here by 8, and then leaving at 8 o'clock at night, like I'm leaving at 4 o'clock, and then tomorrow I come in at noon and I close, but I also have the people in place, an assistant manager that can help me with that. But absolutely, a lot of those good things that we picked up during COVID, we need to carry them back into our everyday life and enjoy our everyday life as well. So I'm with you 100%.
14 days to create a new good habit.
Yep.
I love it. Oh,
All right.
look at that. The timing could not have been more perfect. Do we have any questions in the chat? Anything?
Or from the other panelists for that matter.
Love it. I'm open.
We don't currently have any questions in the chat, Marcia, but
Great.
yeah.
Well, good. Hopefully we covered everything thoroughly enough.
I love that. Is there anything that my friend panelists would like to just share? We have about 15 more minutes. We do have a little bit of business we have to attend to before we sign off, but I'd love for you to share anything that is just really important right now for entrepreneurs and small business owners.
Being compassionate and supporting each other as much as possible, even if it's buying your mom a $25 gift card from your favorite, coffee shop, restaurant, nail salon, whatever, do what you can to support people without breaking the bank or anything like that. And then you never know how far that little gift card is going to go in brightening somebody's day or life, especially if they're so financially tight that they can't do anything. That we've all been affected by this financially, and we need to remember that and just remember to do small random acts of kindness. They go a really long way.
That.
My suggestion would be reach out to the people that you haven't heard from.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that have been affected psychologically. So if it's neighbors, if it's, it doesn't matter if it's clients, fellow coworkers. There's a couple of coworkers I haven't seen, and they were pretty social media savvy. So I've been reaching out. Just, how are you doing? Are you okay? Let's have a conversation. I want to see how you've been, or what did you come up with different practices? Because it's the silent ones we need to worry about. The ones that are making a lot of noise right now are, definitely being heard. Now, the only thing I wanted to mention as well that really didn't come up here, we've had a few people concerned about the various protests and riots that we've had over the last week, and they're concerned about contraction, okay? And I get it. That's another reason for the face covering and hand sanitizing. I live very close to the site of all the action, and I know so do you, Vesper, but on the other side. I noticed quite a few people that were protesting, and they were very peaceable, but they were social distancing, but they were outside, but many people without masks. So just to be extra cautious, I'm not asking people if they protested. It's none of my darn business. However, I'm just stating that this is one more reason for me to take these additional precautions that have been weird for you. But I just want to make sure that everybody's going to be safe, and we get to have a long-term conversation about you being on this planet in one piece.
I love that.
Kind of where I come from.
And that would lead right into asking Felicia about testing. Where can we get tested? What is this looking like right now?
Yeah, so actually, in conjunction with what Peggy was saying, after the large amount of people who weren't wearing face coverings at the protests, there is a free testing center at the Pepsi Center, and they've decided that anyone who participated in the protest can go to the Pepsi Center to get a free testing. You do have to set up an appointment through that. And you can get that information on denvergov.org. But that is, if you don't have access to a healthcare provider, that's what that test site is for. And more test sites are popping up because we understand that it is very important to test our community as well as trace the community, so we can kind of have a better understanding of where it's coming from and how we can help those communities who maybe have a little bit more higher risk around it. So, yep, the Pepsi Center is a free testing center for anyone, not just Denver residents. It is something that—
that's good information.
Yep, yes. So
if anyone's just curious and they want to get tested for their own well-being, is that possible? Free?
Not at the Pepsi Center currently. You have to have been in contact with someone who tested positive. You have to have been a protester, or you have to have received a letter from your doctor for you to be tested. But I think we're trying to work towards things so that we can get free testing. Now, we do have a mobile testing unit for people who are low income or don't have the ability to get to a testing center. And that's called the Wellness Winnie. Some of you may have heard the governor or the mayor talk about it, but that's something where we're starting to reach out to not just people experiencing homelessness, but maybe businesses who have a lot of high risk individuals at their facility, so we can come and do a mass testing at a facility.
Thank you.
Really wonderful. Thanks, Felicia. Okay, here are some important links. denvergov.org. As Felicia has shared, tons of resources regarding COVID. You name it, you can find it at denvergov.org. If you're looking for Peggy, the Academy of Cosmetology Arts, acapros.com, the beautiful Vesper Gray at vespergray.com. I know that each of them have contact information on there. If you have any questions after this, please feel free to reach out to them. Yes?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Love to help you. Additionally, if you would love to meet with any of the Mikasa consultants, please email consultations@mikasaresourcecenter.org. We provide, as you know, not only business consultations, but we have career pathways, we have workshops, more seminars like this. We are 100% here for you and our wonderful community. We are your partners and your advocates. Our next event is this coming Thursday. This week is going fast. It will be with Andy at 5:30. Again, our panel of experts surrounding the construction industry, which will be really wonderful. So you can sign up at mikasaresourcecenter.org calendar. Don't forget that we really value your opinion. Danielle is going to drop the link for the survey. Please provide us your feedback. It's not only how we improve, but also how we can best provide the things that you as our community needs as well.
Marcia, is all of this translated to Spanish, not only the PowerPoint, but also everything that we've been saying?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, are there any more questions? Ms. Francis, is there anything that you would like to add?
Just much appreciation to everybody, particularly our speakers. Marcia, you did a great job moderating and you guys shared some incredible information. So I do want to thank everybody that was able to join us this afternoon. We're going to be broadcasting this recording again at 5:30 p.m. this evening. So, you know, please let us know if you have any additional questions. Let us know if you can, or please participate, I should say, in our short survey. We really appreciate those responses. And then let us know if you have any other questions or how we can continue to be of service. We're here to support our entrepreneurial, you know, community here in Denver. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you.
All right. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you, friends. Be safe. Take care of each other. We'll talk soon. Thanks, everybody.